Well, hello, you all, and welcome to another quick look at how things are going with my card game, Dungeon Murder. I've been working on this for a while, and we're getting close. This is the box. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. Game and art by Scott Johnson. That's me. If you scan in, let's see, where is it? If you scan in that code, it takes you to the website. That's pretty cool. Anyway, this is the box. The game is not inside of this box. However, when this thing ships to everybody, let me pull out the box so you can see this. There will be like a little T thing in here. So there'll be a ridge in the middle, and it'll hold your cards nice and steady on both sides, because there are like 110, 112 cards, and you want to have a box that will not be all messy when you open it. But anyway, we're trying to keep it small, keep it nice and packaged. That's going to be the box. As for some of the cards, I've made some changes. Here's an example. The Ogre Encampment card. This is just one of a few of the chambers. As you can see, we have a little flavor text there. Ogre Encampment, a very brutish place. Little ogre guy at the bottom. See that? And we know that there are 3 separate chambers, dungeon chambers, that make up a set. All right, this is just one of those. So if I played this during my turn, I would have one of potentially 3 laid out. That also, well, that doesn't include wild cards. So there's green wild cards that would go with this color and this Ogre Encampment. And there is also sort of a wild card in the deck that will equal any of the chambers. So it doesn't matter what you stack there. Anyway, without being too complicated, you might lay that card down on your turn. You might have another one. This is for the Dungeon Logistics Underground Mystic Transportation System. There are 4 cards in this set, along with its associated upkeep and gold for these chamber cards. And when you extract gold from other people for upkeep, if you only have one of these cards, for example, you're only going to get 2,000 gold. If you have 2, 4, 3, 7. This is an expensive card, so it's kind of one you want. A little harder to get the matches for, though. Anyway, that's just an example of how things are looking there. I wanted to make a quick note. You may notice a little symbol up in the corner. It's like a little 4-H club looking thing. I forget what that's called, that shape. Anyway, that now coordinates with this color for the colorblind. So if you're colorblind, you can play this game. If you look at this and go, well, I can't tell the difference between green and blue or red or whatever, this little symbol will be the symbol you're matching with your matching cards. And also the what do you call them, decks? The upkeep cards. I'll show you one of those. The upkeep cards where you demand money for your chambers, they have corresponding shapes on them as well. So the black card is always going to have the little square, right? See the little square in the corner? There's the corresponding square. Purple has a circle, and so on. That way, if you are indeed colorblind, you should be able to play the game without any problem. Another quick note, at the bottom of all of the action cards, I added another little quality of life thing. This was suggested by a player out there that was watching the last video. These little pips, which are basically this skull that I drew for the back of the card. There will always be, depending on the type of card, for the chamber cards, you don't need them because it's self-explanatory. There are 4 cards in that set. You don't have to say how many there are. But for this card, there are 2 in circulation. The reason you know that is there are 2 little pips down there that match. And that's true of all the action cards. Let me see if I can pull up another one. Here's one. The sudden attack card. Steal a dungeon chamber from a player of your choice. Can't be part of a full dungeon set. That has 3. See the 3 little pips? So you'll know at a glance, if you've seen 2 of these played into the center, you'll know that in the deck somewhere, one more of these is in there, or one of the players has it by now, or whatever. That can be really helpful with cards like this card, and there's only one of these. This is an action card called Stop Victory. It basically means that if somebody is about to declare victory, you can play this card immediately, and they have no choice but to stop their declaration of victory and wait an entire round to come back around to them before they do anything. It's kind of a last-ditch effort by the rest of the players, whether there's, you can play 2 to 5, but, if you've got 5 people, this is a huge card to get. And there's only one in the deck. How do you know? Little tiny pip down there saying there's only one. In money cards for gold, for example, these are just purely currency cards. You can see there are 3 of the 3,000 gold. There are 2 of the 5,000 gold, and so on. So that's there to just kind of make your life a little bit easier. It also helps you strategize a bit, because if you see if something's been played and you're like, well, 1 of 2 have been played, I feel pretty good about playing this other card because there's no way that, he's going to have the other distracting talisman card. And then when he does, it's super embarrassing and fun and laughable. But again, 2 of those, very important card. And that's how you'll know. And since some of these cards, this goes into rules more than I'll explain here. That's for a different video. But Since action cards can convert it into currency, which is this value up top, when that happens, it neuters the card. It becomes useless for its action. It's no longer that. It is only money for the rest of the game. And in cases like that, knowing that there are only two, and one of them is currency right now, meaning only one could be an active card with its ability, that's very helpful for a player to know that. If somebody achieves a matching set, let's do the Elven Enclave. There's a bunch of elves down there. It's important to remember, fancy elves doing dark business. Anyway, this particular set only has two. As you can see, two sets of cards. That is considered a complete set. If you have up to three, let me move these out of the way. You have, in the course of the game, this is just a little peek at kind of what happens. If you have that set, you also have the dungeon chambers called Feral Pig Kennels, Do Not Attempt to Pet. You have that set. That's a 3-card set. And let's say you've got one more. You somehow accrue the Murder Crow Canyon set, Eyes to the Sky or Die. Some crows down there. If you have that set, that constitutes a win. You have won the game. That is the win condition. And it's any number of these. It also could be that you only had one of the Elven Enclave and you came across a dungeon wildcard. See all the symbols once again? This will tell you that any of these colors, this can be matched with any of these sets. And so we'll match it with that one. And that is also a win condition. Those are 3 perfect sets, one with a wild card. You can have multiple wild cards within a set. These are also very easily stolen and or garnered by other players during the game. Again, tons of rules that I can't explain here. It'll all make sense when you guys finally see it. Oh, another thing I did is the wild cards, which, basically can be used either direction. If we get a black set or a light blue set, it was confusing to some people that it just says Dungeon Property Wildcard. I've changed that now to say the name of the set. So if it's, let's see, do I have one handy here? Let's say, here we go. Dungeon Logistics, that's what this wildcard would go with, so it acts as one of those cards. It now says Wildcard, but Dungeon Logistics above it. So we're matching by name. And of course, we have our symbology here for the colorblind among us so that you guys can still play this game. Another thing I tried to do, cards like this, Compel, which is a very interesting card, force any player to play or to pay you 5,000 gold. You pick on a particular player for this. This is a real screw you card. And I know that in game design, you want to, those mechanics are okay as long as you just don't over freaking do it. And just always be screwing everybody. So there are only 3 of these total in 112 cards. They're rare. And also they can be converted to cash, so you can kind of put them out of commission. They're sort of useless unless somebody's got a bunch of money in their vault anyway. So I tried to keep those to a minimum, but they are fun, and we have a really good time with Compel. Also, if somebody plays Compel or any other hardcore move on you, you may always have one of 3, see the little pips? 3 rebuke cards, which means I can stop that from happening. I can use this anytime. The only thing it doesn't block is stop victory. All other actions. So that action, any other action card played against me, it has to be played against me. But this drawing I did of my own hand and painted it purple. This card will stop that from happening. So somebody could, in theory, play that, and I'll just immediately go like that, and then this just sucks because they lost it. They lost both the monetary value they could have had and the action of the card. I also tried to keep these interesting. There's a lot of cards in the deck that are draw 2 extra cards. This one's called Overturn Stone, and by overturning this stone, you find 2 extra cards, and they're now yours to use. The same thing is true of this card, which is Dark Summoning. It's really the exact same action, just different flavor on it. I just thought that mixed things up nicely. Here's another one. Found some more loot, draw 2 extra cards. Again, they're the same function, and there are actually 4 of these and 3 of the other 2. But it just felt like more fun to break it up instead of just having a whole stack of draw 2s, So anyway, that's the idea there. That's just me trying to be creative and diverse with the cards. Talked about before, I've shortened the length of the text on this a bit on the latest deck, so you aren't going to see this until the final, some of these changes. But the Distracting Talisman is a dangerous card. Basically, I can use this talisman to steal a complete set of dungeon chambers from any player. That includes any skeletal armies or mobile guard stations they may have attached to those groups. That's another whole rule to explain. But anyway, this is dangerous. This is one that can really screw up a player who may be on the verge of winning, because you can take their entire set. It has to be a complete set. So it'd be one of these, I'll say this brown one. They could take that entire set, sometimes win the game, or at the very least thwart your chances of winning it. Very important card. Only 2 of those in the entire deck. A couple other cards that changed. The action card for Skeletal Army now has some artwork on it and a different description. This used to be called the Hovel. I changed my mind on how that would work. Anyway, the idea is that you've You've basically set up a skeletal army to guard your dungeon chambers once it's a complete set, and that makes the upkeep value go up. So when you're demanding upkeep, you're going to be able to get 3,000 gold added to the amount that that set already asked for. The other one is a bit of a step up from that is the mobile guard station. Same idea, except it adds 4,000 instead of 3,000. You can have one of each of these on top of a set, but no more than one of each, if that makes sense, right? You can't just stack how many of these? 2 of these and 3 of these. You can't just stack those all on one property. That would be ridiculous. So that's in the rules, of course. So you're limited to one of each. Another big doozy is this orc double cross. Swap any dungeon chamber with another player. Can't be part of a full set. This is, let's say you don't have this full set yet, or let's say we'll take the yellow one. You've got this card laying out and facing up, and you see someone who has one of the matching chambers for it. You can play this, and there's nothing they can do. They have to give you that yellow card. Now, if it's already part of a full yellow set with some wilds or something, you can't do that. But the Orc Double Cross will let you take an incomplete one. Even if you have 2 of 3, you can take one of those 2. But if it's a complete set of 3, this card is useless. The only thing that can stop this card is, wherever I put it, the Rebuke card. This is very handy. 3 of these total in the deck. Try not to hoard them, but it's tempting. Just a little more look at the groups and the settings. Orc Pits, the dark, smelly, and evil place. This is the new name for that. We got a nice orc down there eating chicken, I guess. I don't know what he's doing. I mentioned the pig kennels, I guess. Feral pig kennels, those are in there. The tentacle labyrinth. Eyes down, the floor is deadly. Look at those. Look at those tentacles. Ooh. Yeah, that's a fun one. One of my favorites, the Undead Swamp. I like this one because I just am happy with my skull artwork. I think it turned out real good. Little skull laid down there. Anyway, the Undead Swamp, desiccated and damp. Of course, the Goblin Temple, trinkets, baubles, and old fish. There's some goblins, so that's cool. And this one, the Caves of Lurg. There's Lurg. Here, I'm Lurg. Anyway, a horrible place at night. Watch out for the Caves of Lurg. Anyway, you get the idea. There's a lot in here. There's a lot to say about it. There's a lot to teach still about what the rules are actually going to be. I'll have that all up in some sort of video form soon, as well as some just sort of FAQ stuff. And the Kickstarter is very, very close. This is the second to last. I mean, I think this is it. The next cards I send in for print are going to be final. And we've double-checked everything. We've looked at everything for typos. We've gone nuts with that. The rules have been gone over and over and over and over. Dungeon Murder, coming soon. Go to dungeonmurder.com for more. And thanks for watching.